refuse to lose. I'm built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse. Mine, it can't be diffused. If you ain't thinking the same, then we playing by different rules. You can't see the vision, we living at different views. Until we complete the mission, keep getting up, never snooze. I walked a mile in my shoes, had the mind of a fool, chasing diamonds and jewels. Trust me, I was confused. Started minding my business and used my mind as a tool. Ended up finding my purpose and found the time to get to it. They told me I couldn't do it, they told me I couldn't make it. They sold it, could never break it. That's sadly mistaken. I need a piece of the pie, I want it so bad I can taste it. They told me like told me, keep on running toes, they gon' take them. Refuse to lose, built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I pay for the cost, I'm winning to win. Yeah. Refuse to lose, I'm built to win. Apply myself, I filled it in. No time for the doubt, they counting me out, I'm getting it in. Yeah. No time for no loss, I'm paying the cost, I'm in it to win. Yeah. Refuse.
I got a long day on. Welcome to Refuse to Lose Sports. My name is Joe Jordan. We have a great episode. There we go. We have a great episode for y'all today. And look, man, as y'all can see on the left side of the screen, right on the right side of me, as you can see, we got a special guest coming on today. You know, we're still doing our NFL season previews. We had a lot of guests come through so far. We almost done with going through every single team in the NFL. But now we landed in Minnesota, and we got to talk about the Minnesota Vikings. But before I bring our guests up, make sure y'all like this video because we are streaming this on 4 different platforms: YouTube, Facebook, Twitch, and X. So make sure y'all like the video on whatever platform you're watching it on. Make sure you follow and subscribe on all of our social media platforms. You can find us either at R2L Sports or at Refuse to Lose Sports. So make sure you do that. And share this episode with anybody so they can come on and watch this show live with you, because you could be involved in the show by being in the comment section. We can see all the comments y'all will be putting out throughout the show. But last but not least, sit back and relax. Enjoy the rest of the show. And hold on, I got to do this. As y'all can see, I'm solo dolo today as far as hosting. My boy Tomo, Mr. Get Done, son, he's not here right now. Got my boy Dave's Doghouse. He's not here right now. But it's only right. If Dave was here, he always says this. It's Thursday. Thursday is what they call it. And on Thursdays, we got to turn me up. We got a busy week, man. We got an R2L day coming up on Saturday. We got a basketball tournament on Friday. There's a lot going on this week. We had a fantasy football at the Commanders Stadium on this past Tuesday. A lot has been going on this week. That's why my fellas not here. But without further ado, we're going to bring up our special guest. I'm excited to bring this guy up. For those, he's actually a member in the boxing chat in our R2L community. So if you are in that boxing chat, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Right, he's a boxing analyst, has his own podcast called the Punches Point. I will have him talk more about that on the back end of the episode, so make sure you guys stick around. But without further ado, let me bring up the one and only Mario.
What's good? How we doing?
We doing good. I know the people are excited to hear what you got to say. The last time you came on, you were dropping some knowledge. So this is a highly anticipated episode. But how you doing?
I'm doing great. I'm happy to be on Refuse to Lose. Y'all always be making great content. So any single time you give me the invite to come on, I got to take it, man. So I appreciate you having me.
Of course. Hey, you also making great content, staying consistent. I see you constantly posting content, which is the key right there. Most people are not consistent with doing that. And that's something you have been doing. So kudos to you. And we just following your lead. We just following your lead. That's all we doing. All right. Yeah, so let's jump right to it, though. The off season. The Vikings, y'all been busy. I mean, y'all lost a good amount of people, and y'all gotten a good amount of people. All right. So you could talk about the draft. You could talk about the free agent signings. Y'all actually made a trade. Shout out to Sam Howell, former Washington Commander. Y'all made some trades. Y'all lost some guys to free agency. So, Mario, just give the people at home and tell them, give them a letter grade for the Vikings offseason.
I'm not gonna lie to you. I'm gonna give the Vikings offseason. I'm not gonna lie to you. I probably give it a B plus. I'm gonna be real, and the reason why I say that is because they did have themselves a busy offseason. Now I do like some of the changes that they made. For instance, a lot of people they first shifted to the Sam Darnold conversation. Sam Darnold leaves, he gets that 100 million plus contract from Seattle. Congratulations to him. I think he absolutely balled out last season. I think last season definitely earned him that contract. I can't dispute that. However, what I really like about them is they had a guy who we're going to talk about a little bit later, JJ McCarthy, right there on the back burner. Unfortunately for JJ McCarthy, I believe he probably would have been the starter eventually in that season last year, but obviously he tore his meniscus and he couldn't play for the rest of the year. So it was really tough not to see JJ McCarthy on that field because I had a lot of high promise for him. But what I really love about them is every single time there's a quarterback in that QB1 position for the Minnesota Vikings. And it's a big position to be in because it's a great offense. I will say that right now. I'm not saying that because I'm a Vikings fan. When you have Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Aaron Jones, Jordan Addison, I mean, and then overall, if we obviously there's new additions this year, but when you have an offense and those are your weapons, it's hard not to make you look good. And everybody thought that when Kirk was going to leave and we got Sam Darnold, everybody thought that this was going to be one of our worst seasons up to date. Sam Darnold got that second chance, and he got that chance to prove what he can really do with a talented offense. And I'm not going to lie to you. I had no faith in Sam Darnold, and he balled out. Now Sam Darnold goes to Seattle. Now a lot of people are saying, oh, maybe you should have kept him because he performed great. Now we got JJ McCarthy. So we went from Kirk Cousins, who was getting paid a boatload amount of money, from Sam Darnold for 1 year. Now you're under the pressure of re-signing Sam Darnold. So what did they say? Well, I'm going to shift on to Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold can get his $100 million somewhere else, and they can spend the $100 million, and we'll keep JJ McCarthy on a rookie deal. Now, I'm reading the comments right now. Jordan Mason, too. That's one of the new additions, and I'll get to that in a little bit. But Jordan Mason is going to be a huge key to this. But regardless, you look at what JJ McCarthy's got. I'm glad he mentioned that. If you go back to last year, so we didn't have no Jordan Mason. I'm super excited about Jordan Mason because I feel like I really like the Vikings when they have a dual running back system. We had Adrian Peterson, we had Dalvin Cook, but people forget when Dalvin Cook tore his ACL, I believe it was around his rookie year, we had two running backs, Latavius Murray and Jerick McKinnon, and both of those guys were carrying the load. And that year, we made it to the NFC Championship. So it's not always about the lead running back getting 1,000 yards and everything like that. Aaron Jones is capable of getting 1,000 yards, but Aaron Jones is obviously pushing age, which means Jordan Addison coming in, being that guy that's also going to help them establish that run game a lot more. It gives them more options, and I think that definitely helps JJ McCarthy. He's still got Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison. Now, I love Jordan Addison. I love the way he plays. I think he's smooth as butter. I really do. I think he's an insane route runner. I've gone on record. You could ask a lot of people I know. This might be a hot take. I think he might be a more consistent route runner than Justin Jefferson. And that's a hot take to say, but we'll go back and look at the film. Jordan Addison, let's put it this way. Jordan Addison, he knows how to run a route. He knows how to put people on skates. And on top of that, he's got some really good hands. And he's strong for a little guy. Let me say that. He's strong for a little guy. Let's not forget what he did to Travarius Ward in that 49ers game where he just yanked it out of his hand and took it to the house before halftime. Let's not forget about that. So Jordan Addison, he gets suspended again. And that's the thing. First, you go from DUI or speeding. Then you go to the same thing the next year. And then the next year, you get tested positive for PEDs. And it just seems like there's some type of baggage that comes with this kid. But when there's not, he balls. So, unfortunately for JJ McCarthy, if you go look at the training camp film, JJ McCarthy, he's not going to be without Jordan Addison. And Jordan Addison seems like a favorable target for JJ McCarthy. But regardless, if there's one guy that I think people need to watch out for, this is where you go to the draft class, it's Ty Felton. Ty Felton, he was a guy that they picked up a little bit later in the draft from the University of Maryland. He surpassed I think he was over 1,500 yards in that Maryland season. Again, a very good wide receiver, kind of slid under the radar because he played for Maryland. So this is going to be a good chance for him to pick up where Jordan Addison left off. And this is going to be a good chance for him to leave his mark early. And then on top of that, suppose Ty Felton don't work out, you have Jalen Naylor, who everybody forgot in the beginning of the year when we also really didn't have Jordan Addison. Jalen Naylor was getting a touchdown a game. So Jalen Naylor actually, for early in the season, he became a favorite for fantasy football. So in my opinion, Jalen Naylor, I still think he's going to be a guy who slides under the radar as well. So the wide receiver core is still there. They still got some hidden gems. Now, you go to the tight ends, TJ Hawkinson, and the second tight end is Josh Oliver. People forget how good Josh Oliver is, and people forget how important Josh Oliver is. He might not be that type of guy to get you 100 yards as a tight end, but he's that type of guy that's going to pancake one of those blockers for your running back to get 10 yards. He's going to be one of those tight ends that could get you a first down because everybody's too worried about Justin Jefferson, TJ Hawkinson, Jordan Addison when he's healthy. CJ Ham, I love CJ Ham. I want him to be a Minnesota Viking for life. The fullback position is something that's going away. I don't want to see CJ Ham away from the Minnesota Vikings. They better keep that fullback position specifically for him. Christian Darrisaw, a guy who is a great offensive lineman when he's healthy. I mean, a lot of people have been comparing. They're saying he's the next Trent Williams. But the problem is with that, he's never healthy enough to show it. But when he is healthy, he's proven that he could be one of the best offensive linemen in the game. Donovan Jackson, which was our first round pick. Now, what I find so interesting about Donovan Jackson, when they first picked him up, I was like, I'm not too sure about this pick. And the reason why is because I started looking at the film, and this wasn't a guy that was going to pancake blockers. This wasn't a guy that he looked like against some guys he couldn't really hold his own. Until I realized that this man was playing center, and he never played center in a day in his life. What happened was Ohio State's starting center who got hurt, and I can't remember his name. Anybody in the comments who knows that, feel free to jot it down for me. Ohio State had this center, a very good center, a very high praise center, and the center got hurt. Jackson, who was originally a guard and who was naturally a guard, had to move to center for the entire season. So when I looked at it, I looked at the stats. I think he only let go of 1 sack as a center. He didn't look too flashy. But the reason why I'm so excited about Donovan Jackson, I had to take a second look and see what he did at guard. And what I noticed was he's a good guard. Like, he can play. And I think it's definitely an upgrade from an Evan Ingram, who was a guy who was constantly stepping on Kirk Cousins' toes and literally stepping on Kirk Cousins' toes and tripping him. You don't know how many sacks Kirk Cousins had to take because Ed Ingram would step on his toes when he would back up. And it just annoyed me. So I'm glad that I do want to say Donovan Jackson, again, he might be unproven, but I do think it's still a step above Ed Ingram. Then you add Ryan Kelly, the center from the Colts. I still think he's an upgrade from Garrett Bradbury, who we had. Garrett Bradbury was solid. He was reliable, but he wasn't ever going to be an elite center. And it's what we needed. We needed a guy who was reliable, who was going to stay healthy, who was going to at least keep our offensive line somewhat in shape against some of these big teams. But again, I'm glad to have somebody like a Ryan Kelly, who is a veteran and who is able to go in there, take over the center spot, and hopefully become an upgrade in that position as well. And then this one I'm super excited for, Will Fries. Will Fries, thank you for coming to Minnesota, because this man has looked like a monster in training camp. And I'm just saying thank you to Will Fries for picking Minnesota as your destination, because we need this. We desperately need this. And I'm super stoked about Will Fries. I think he's going to be a huge, huge piece to this season, especially to that offense. And last but not least, old reliable, the captain, number 75, Mr. Buzz Lightyear lookalike, Brian O'Neill. Brian O'Neill, I want him to stay on that offense forever. So if we're looking at the offense, J.J. McCarthy is part of an offense that has so much potential in the world. It's an offense that could be super, super consistent. And it's an offense, before we got these key pieces, that if you asked a lot of these rookie quarterbacks, where did you want to go? They wanted to go to Minnesota. Let's not act like Caleb Williams wasn't talking to his dad saying, I have to get to Minnesota, because he didn't want to play for the Bears. Okay, let's not act like that wasn't a conversation. He willingly admitted it. And if you go look at last year's class with that huge stacked quarterback class, and you ask them, name one wide receiver who you want to throw the ball to, you could take a guess who that was.
Jettis.
There you go. So I'm just saying, J.J. McCarthy fell into the perfect situation, and when he tore his meniscus, it was brutal. But in a way, it was a blessing. Think about all these rookie quarterbacks and how they had to step into the fire week 1. I like Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels cooked for y'all. But the beginning, if you go look statistically, it wasn't a clean start for him. He had to adjust. Then you throw guys like Drake May into the fire in a Patriots team that wasn't doing good. You could throw guys into the fire like Bo Nix, who's got to carry a Broncos team that's not going to make it. You throw in Michael Penix, who has to take over for Kirk Cousins, and he's in a position in the season where he's not going to make the playoffs. JJ McCarthy, he got hurt. It was an unfortunate injury, but he was the only one that could actually take a year and learn that playbook. And the best part about it is the offense is still the same. The playbook's still the same. He had a whole year just to learn the playbook before even stepping onto the field. I'm super excited about that offense, and I honestly think that JJ McCarthy's got even more tools now than he did last year. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, man, the offense looking good. A lot of key additions, like you said. And one thing about Aaron Jones, the issue with him was always when he play a full season. He always get nicked up and they come out. Last year was the first time. No, sorry, it was a third time in his career he played a full season. So that's a good sign right there. But bringing in Jordan Mason could take the load off him. And then your offensive line, I think that's key. Y'all have everything. And y'all have a last year, y'all had a good offensive line, but y'all made some upgrades on the offensive line, which is good. Talk to me about the defense, though, because a lot of things happen on the defensive side of the ball, too.
For sure. Well, I'm going to mention a Washington legend,
Uh-huh.
Jonathan Allen. I'm happy to have him on the team. And I was
Great
I'm not
man.
going to lie to you. Originally, I was skeptical because I was like, Jonathan Allen's been in this league for a long time. I've always been a fan of Jonathan Allen, but I was always skeptical because I was saying to myself, are we getting the real Jonathan Allen? And I'm in a group chat with some friends I went to college with, and God, do they love busting my chops. They love it. They just constantly try to poke fun at me. So whenever you guys get this reel going, it's getting sent to them. I'm letting them know. But I asked them, I said, what do you guys think about Jonathan Allen? Are we getting a good pickup? And they said yes. They said he got hurt. Unfortunately, he had an injury season. And again, that's also always a concern when somebody gets injured, whether or not they're going to play a full season, like you said with Aaron Jones. But I mean, I'm not asking for a prime Jonathan Allen. I want people to understand that right now. It would be great to get a prime Jonathan Allen. Don't get me wrong. I'm not asking for a prime Jonathan Allen. I'm asking for a defensive tackle that's going to stand side by side with Harrison Phillips and is going to be reliable throughout the season. If I can get that out of Jonathan Allen, that's perfectly fine with me. When Patrick Peterson came to the Vikings a few years ago, you think I was expecting prime Pat Pete? No. But you know what? Patrick Peterson, he was reliable. Even though there were times maybe he got burnt a little bit, he was always reliable. He was always a corner that if you needed a game-winning pick, he was going to get it. He was always that corner that he was going to clutch up when you needed him to. And that's the only thing I'm asking for out of Jonathan Allen. So we start off there. Everybody talks about Jonathan Allen. Nobody talks about Javon Hargrave.
Ooh.
Javon Hargrave, hey, look, you're talking about Jonathan Allen, Harrison Phillips, and Javon Hargrave. To me, that's a great defensive tackle, three defensive tackles to go with. Now, I really do like Javon Hargrave. Again, he's been around some championship teams, so hopefully he can bring that championship presence to the Vikings. And I always thought Javon Hargrave was underrated when it came to a lot of defenses that he was on. They always talked about the star guys. When he was in San Fran, you talk about Fred Warner, Nick Bosa, Travarius Ward at some point, but you never really heard about Hargrave. But Hargrave was there, and Hargrave had a big impact on that D line. So I'm happy that he can bring that to us.
Yeah, big guy.
To Jonathan. I'm super stoked about him, and overall those D tackles, I feel like they're gonna have a great season. And then on top of that, behind those D tackles, you got somebody like Levi Drake Rodriguez, who was a rookie last year for us. You got somebody like Jalen Redmond, who nobody even thought he had a chance of making the roster, and he went in there and he had a couple of very big plays and during that season. So overall, I really do love these defensive tackles that the Vikings have. It was a weakness for us heading into last year, but I feel like heading into this season, I feel like you're going to see a lot of defensive tackles switching out, switching in, and I feel like it's going to confuse a lot of offenses. Then we go to Jonathan Grenard. I was happy about Jonathan Grenard. You were talking about a guy who was having 12 and a half sacks on the Texans. Again, the Texans, when you look at their defense, you always talked about Stingley, and there were some guys that the Texans had on defense, but nobody really talked about Jonathan Grenard, even though he was a big impact on that defense. And when we lost Danielle Hunter, I'm saying to myself, it's going to be really hard to replace somebody like Danielle Hunter. That was somebody I feel like they should have re-signed. And maybe in my mind, there's something in the back of my mind that said maybe we should have still re-signed him. But Jonathan Grenard, he held his own. He had a great season. I believe he had a Pro Bowl season at that. And another part of me says, well, if we re-sign Danielle Hunter, we probably don't get Jonathan Grenard, and we probably don't get this next guy coming in, Andrew Van Ginkel.
Woo, that's a big pickup.
Give me Andrew Van Ginkel. I'll take Andrew Van Ginkel and Jonathan Grenard over one Danielle Hunter. Yeah. I'm just saying, give me Van Ginkel, because Van Ginkel was super reliable, and I was super reliable, super consistent, super versatile. I mean, the guy, he had 2 picks, I believe 2 or 3 pick sixes last year. Overall, this dude was just a beast. And I knew Van Ginkel was going to be underrated. I didn't think he was going to be this. I saw what he did in Miami, and I was like, okay, that's very promising. He might end up being a decent piece for the Vikings, and he might end up being a guy who contributes. I didn't expect him to be potentially the best defender on that team. Did not expect that at all. So Van Ginkel, hey, I'm glad that we got you for a few more years, and I'm super happy about it. So we're talking about Texan linebackers. Let's talk about the other guy, Blake Cashman.
Mm-hmm.
Cashman, another underrated linebacker, great with tackles. And again, we needed a guy who could get you 100 tackles. And we had a guy named Eric Kendricks at one point who was really good at that. He was the tackle guy. He was the guy that would pop back into coverage. Well, Blake Cashman, he took over that tackle role. I feel like once we had no more Eric Kendricks, and when Blake Cashman came in, Blake Cashman really provided a good piece of this defense. And he really provided a good tackling essence, a guy who isn't going to let go of a first down, a guy who will be a reliable tackle, who can get you 100 tackles in a game. And that's exactly what I wanted. And then another guy who is super young, a guy who for some reason had over 150 tackles at the University of Cincinnati. He had over 10 sacks, and he went undrafted. Thank you to every single team that didn't draft him, including the Vikings, because you guys picked him up as an undrafted free agent. Ivan Pace Jr. If Ivan Pace Jr. can have a full healthy season, I'm going to say this right now, this might be the best linebacking core in the NFL. Best linebackers, because there's some great linebackers out there, but the best linebacking core in the NFL, in my opinion, because when you have 4 guys who can potentially get you 10 sacks alone, I'm not saying they're going to get all 10 sacks in a season, but when you have 4 guys who, if they were just an individual linebacker on a different team, could get you a potential 10-sack season, to me, that's just hard to beat. So I really am super excited about these linebackers. Now, the secondary, this is the one that's going to be the big question. So you got rid of Cam Bynum. In my opinion, they should have re-signed Cam Bynum. Not only was Cam Bynum a good safety, very good. He was very good against the Niners. I'll say that right now. But Cam Bynum also provided this energy on the team. Let's not forget about all the High School Musical dances that he was doing, celebrations. I mean, you were watching the Minnesota Viking games just to see if the defense was going to get an interception and just to see what Cam Bynum was going to prepare up for that dance, because he was going celebration of the year, week in and week out. Every single time you didn't think he could top that celebration, the next week he topped it. Parent Trap, White Chicks Dance, High School Musical, Camp Rock. The dude did the break dancer in the Olympics, who wasn't even, I mean, my bad. I'm sorry for bringing up the 49ers, but regardless, I do miss Cam Bynum. So overall, you replace him with Isaiah Rodgers. I'm not too hooked on Isaiah Rodgers. I'm not saying he's a bad player. He was a decent piece for that Eagles defense, but you could tell that they're moving on from him once they really started beefing up that defense, once they started getting new pieces in the secondary. So Isaiah Rodgers, that's going to be the biggest test for me. We got Jeff Okudah. Now, Jeff Okudah, he really hasn't had a proper chance in the NFL. I'm going to say that right now. He got drafted by the Lions. You really didn't see much from him out of the Lions. He was constantly getting hurt. And Jeff Okudah's looked good in camp, but I'm really interested to see how Jeff Okudah is going to look if he ever gets that starting position in that corner. Because y'all forget, he was a beast at Ohio State. So I'm just hoping that it's a Sam Darnold thing where he hasn't had a real chance.
Opportunity,
he can live up to that potential.
That could be Isaiah Rodgers too, though.
Yeah, for sure. And he's going to have to figure out how to he's going to have to figure out how to get that playing time, and anything could happen. Injuries happen every single year. So I'm hoping no key players get injured, but you never know what could happen. I'm just hoping that when it's time for Jeff Okudah to step up, he's able to do it. So then you go to the strong safety, Josh Metellus. I love Josh Metellus. Now, in my opinion, I'm sad to see Cam Bynum go, but I do believe that Josh Metellus is more valuable for that defense. Josh Metellus, in case y'all don't know, here's a little fun fact. Josh Metellus, I believe it was last year. It was last year or the year before. Josh Metellus played all 11 positions on defense. We're talking about a guy who played strong safety, free safety, corner, slot corner, linebacker. He played D tackle. He played D end, edge. There was literally a stat of how many times he played each position. This guy is a guy who can play safety and can play D line. So in my opinion, this was a 6th round pick that we got a few years ago out of Michigan. Another guy I really didn't expect much out of, but when he got his starting chance, you told him, hey, line up at linebacker, no problem. Line up at safety, not going to be an issue. Line up at corner, no problem. I'm going to lock him down. Go on the D line, I'll blitz off the edge. He can do literally anything that you want him to do, and he's another great personality on that team. If y'all don't know about the Viking social media, he has this thing called Tell Us When Tell Us, and he basically asks these players a bunch of different questions. And if y'all don't understand, it's very similar to when we had Brian Robinson, and he asked the team, there's a famous video, name one guy on this team you wouldn't want to date your sister.
Yeah.
Playing digs. It's very, very similar to that. So if y'all want some good football entertainment, make sure y'all go check that out. Metellus, he's a very good personality on that team, so I'm glad we got him back. My favorite Viking, Harrison Smith. No words. Harrison Smith, that's my favorite Viking as of right now. He's been on this team since 2012. I think he's a future Hall of Famer. If you compare his stats with Troy Polamalu, he has better stats than him. The only thing he doesn't have is Super Bowl. I don't think he's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, but he will be a future Hall of Famer. And I do think that Harrison Smith is the last of a dying breed. So shout out to Harrison Smith, constantly taking pay cuts to stay on this team, constantly doing whatever it takes, constantly teaching the new guys that are coming in. Overall, I just love Harrison Smith. I hope that he stays a Viking forever, and I'm hoping that he retires as a Viking. So I'm glad that he's on this team. Byron Murphy Jr., Pro Bowl corner. Now, here's the thing about Byron Murphy Jr. Y'all aren't going to like this, but I like Byron Murphy Jr. I don't trust him 100% when it comes to coverage. And the reason why is because Byron Murphy Jr., he's very good at picks. But the problem is with Byron Murphy, he's not that type of guy that's going to be a clamp up guy who's going to tighten up. He's not that type of guy that's going to go, you're going to line up against Jamar Chase, lock him down, or at least sustain. He's not that type of guy, but he will be that type of guy that if you throw a bad ball, he's going to be in the right place to catch it. And so I do like that about him. It's kind of like when the Dolphins had Xavier Howard.
Yes.
Xavier Howard, again, how many seasons did he have multiple picks? How many seasons was he at least the top 3 in picks? There was seasons where he led in picks, but overall, that means you get thrown at a lot. And in my opinion, there would be times where I'm looking at Byron Murphy and he would intercept the ball. And I'm like, God, you're so lucky that went right to you. Because if it just went a little bit over your head, that would have been gone. And I like Byron Murphy. I'm hoping that he can tighten up the coverage. And I'm hoping that he can somehow embrace a cornerback one role. I remember another corner who had a lot of potential with the Vikings, and they really had to get him into his prime, was Xavier Rhodes. Xavier Rhodes was a very corner for the Vikings, but everybody remembers him as the holding guy. What they did was they put, for the next season coming up, they put boxing gloves on him so he wouldn't hold. And that taught him how to be a real cover corner. And then he had that insane 2017 where he was locking down Antonio Brown, Odell Beckham, Mike Evans, so on and so forth. Your number one corner, he was holding them under 100 yards. That's what I'm hoping they can do with Byron Murphy. I'm hoping that he's not just going to be the pick guy. I'm hoping that he's going to be that guy that's going to be able to lock down your number one, because you're going to be going up against some bad dudes. I mean, you're going up against Amon St. Brown 2 times a year. Roma Doozy, he's got a lot of promise, so if he pops into his prime, that's going to be a tough battle. You got Jamar Chase early in the season. Like, it's not going to be easy. It's going to be a hard season. You got EK Metcalf on the Steelers that you're going to have to guard. It's going to be a tough season. AJ Brown, thank you. Like, even Devontae Smith, if you got to go up against him, these are going to be some tough guys. Seattle, you got to go up against Cooper. Like, he's going to have to learn how to lock up if he's going to be the number one corner. He's not going to.
We sign him. Go ahead. Sorry.
I'm glad that you mentioned that, because there's so many guys that he's going to have to be able to cover. And I just hope that he can become more of a coverage corner. And last but not least, Mekhi Blackman. Now, y'all don't know about Mekhi Blackman. Mekhi Blackman, he had when his rookie year, he kind of struggled in the beginning. Dealt with a little bit of injuries. Towards the end of the year, he really started picking it up. And then last year, he had a season-ending injury as well, and we didn't see him. Mekhi Blackman, I got a lot of promise with, but he's another 50-50. Are we going to see the Mekhi Blackman at the end of his rookie season or the beginning? Because if it's the end, I'm all for it. If it's the beginning, then we got some problems. But there's going to be one guy, and I know you like to do bold predictions, and I'm going to mention this guy when I say it. But there is one guy that, if you're going to watch the Vikings defense, keep an eye out for this guy, and it's Dwight McGlothern, number 29. Okay. Just keep an eye out for him, and I'll give my bold prediction a little at the end of this episode. But Dwight McGlothern, for y'all watching this episode right now, keep your eye on him. But overall, I think this defense, they got a lot of questions, but overall, they do got a lot of promise as well. I really do like the D line and the linebackers, and I believe they're going to have to do a lot extra to maybe kind of make up for the secondary a little bit. I know they got Harrison Smith and Josh Metellus as safeties, and that's going to be cool. Byron Murphy, he's going to have to, prove that he can be a number one cover linebacker, cover corner, excuse me. But overall, I do think the defense has promise, but there's some questions that also has to be answered come the beginning of the season and all the way to the end as well.
Okay, and you said B minus, right?
B
Or
plus.
B plus. Sorry.
B plus. Yeah.
All right, B plus for the Vikings. They were very busy this all season. Okay, so let's go to your quarterback, JJ McCarthy. Now, for those who don't know, Mario was on during the Super Bowl week, and Mario was all for moving on from Sam Darnold and keeping JJ McCarthy, having him start the following season. All for it. So we also saw Sam Darnold coming here and had a great season. I mean, MVP caliber type season, and led y'all to the 5th seed, but you could have been the 1st seed in the whole NFC if you won the last game. That's how good y'all were last year. So give me your expectations for JJ McCarthy.
Well, first I'm going to say this, okay? For y'all who are listening right now, I want to say this one time when it comes to a quarterback. Your passing stats and your TDs don't matter. I'm sorry. Now, let me explain. And then we grew up. I'm 24. Okay, a lot of us are past are past 21 years old who are listening. In our era, there were 2 quarterbacks, Peyton Manning and Tom Brady. One guy would dominate the regular season. I mean, he can get you 40 passing touchdowns. He had offensively, statistically, incredible. And there was another guy who would get you 25 TDs in the regular season. And then when the postseason came, he let you up. I'm just saying this right now. One's got 2 Super Bowls, the other one's got 7. You pick which one you want. Now, that's all I'm going to say. Now, I'm not dissing Peyton Manning. I think he's incredible. But the truth is, as a quarterback, y'all got to understand that your passing stats don't matter. It's all about what you can do in that 2-minute drill. 2 minutes left. You got to go win that game. You're down by 6. How are you going to win? Go. I'm glad you could throw 40 touchdowns. What are you going to do in 2 minutes? What are you going to do when you're going up against the Kansas City Chiefs and they leave you 20 seconds left on the clock and you got to go score a touchdown? Or you got to go at least get them a field goal. You have to know how to run that type of offense. You got to know how to run the clock, and you got to know how to make game-winning choices. So with that being said, we go to JJ McCarthy. Now, I can say whether or not I got full faith in JJ McCarthy, or I can prove it to you. Now, you said last time I dropped some knowledge. I wanted to make sure I had the stats coming into this one because I see Dave's really good with his stats. I've seen Mercado. He's really good with his stats. I listen to y'all. I see the films. I see the reels. Y'all back it up with stats. So I'm going to back it up with stats too. JJ McCarthy, when he was in high school, he played for Nazareth. He eventually ended up playing for IMG Academy. His starting stats as a high school player, 36-2 record, 7,905 yards, 94 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. Now it gets better from there. State title with Nazareth in 2018, national title 2020 with IMG Academy, 2019 Illinois Player of the Year. Good high school stats, but then they're going to tell you what are you going to do against D1 competition in Michigan. Okay. Michigan stats, record 27-1 as a starter, never lost to Ohio State. 2023 national champion. Y'all know about that, but you're going to say he got carried by Blake Corum. I'm glad you said that. 6,226 yards, 49 passing touchdowns, 10 rushing touchdowns, so 59 total touchdowns. Program record 72.3% completion and a program record interception rate of 1.20. Rose Bowl MVP. You know who we faced in the Rose Bowl? Nick Saban's Alabama. That was the last game Nick Saban coached. You know who else was on that team? The defensive player, one of the best defensive players in college, Dallas Turner, who, by the way, I didn't even mention on the defense when I talked about them. Expect a lot from Dallas Turner, by the way, people. So then you're going to say, well, that's college, he got carried by Blake Corum. What else is he going to do? So you go to the first preseason game he had against the Raiders. He threw it. Now, I'm not going to lie to you, the first 2 quarters looked terrible. Not going to lie to you. He threw that interception, thought it was stupid. I was like, God, is this what we're going to see? Because it's going to be a long season for me. After that first interception, his total stats, 11 for 17, 188 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 pick. He threw now y'all might be like, oh, it might have been a 2-yard pass, 5-yard pass. We all know J.J. McCarthy can't throw the deep ball, right? 48-yard touchdown and a 33-yard touchdown pass. You want to know who those two guys were? It must have been Jordan Addison and Justin Jefferson. Nah, it was Tristan Jackson and Trent Schofield. Do those sound like starters to you? Because it doesn't to me. So, and then last but not least, he tears his meniscus. Now, I'm just going to ask a question. If you've gone through high school, college as a winner, you went through adversity in NFL, a little bit of adversity in the NFL, and you overcame it. And even when you threw that one pick, a lot of people, they throw that pick, a lot of quarterbacks, you've seen it, they throw that first pick, they see that they're doing bad, and they don't recover from it. You ended the game with 2 interceptions, 1 pick, and you went 11 for 17. His passer rating was 116. Just saying, now, I got a question. If you proved all of that, why don't I have trust in you? That's all I'm saying. Now, I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is going to be a stud. I'm not saying he's the next Tom Brady, nothing like that. But all I'm saying is this. This guy has proven time and time again that not only can he win, he can overcome adversity. This is the same guy that said he came from a hockey state. Michigan's one of the best states when it comes to hockey. He said, I love hockey. He said, I love how these guys can get 100 stitches in their face and come back. So I love the toughness. I love the mentality that he has. This was a guy who was constantly asking the defense questions. He was showing up to practice and games with a torn meniscus. He didn't have to be there. He didn't have to be at the games. He didn't have to be at practice. He was constantly showing up to the meetings with a torn meniscus. He was constantly asking the defensive questions. I heard stories that he was in the defensive meetings as a quarterback. What quarterbacks do you know stay in the defensive meetings? Like just to learn about the defense. I'm just saying. Oh, sorry. Continue.
No, I'm saying that's smart. That's smart.
That's what I'm saying. It shows he's smart. He's got commitment. And on top of that, overall, I mean, I do feel like everybody's just trashing this kid because he didn't throw 60 touchdowns in a season. That's great and all. That's absolutely wonderful. You can throw 60 touchdowns in a college football season. You know who else did that? Kyle Trask. Have we seen Kyle Trask start an NFL game?
Nope.
No. Okay. Caleb Williams threw how many touchdowns this senior year? A bunch. Did Caleb Williams have a great NFL season? Not really. Everybody thought he was the number 1 pick. There were 4 quarterbacks in that draft that I think did better than him that year. So the truth is, it's not about your stats don't matter. It's all about your track record as a winner. Now, he was a winner in high school. He was a winner in college. So I'm just saying, if that's the mentality that you're bringing, if that's what you're bringing to this culture, we need it. Because I'm saying this right now, the 2 worst teams that you can be a fan of is the Bills and the Vikings. Because at least if you're a fan of the Browns, you know you're gonna get disappointment. Like if you're a fan of certain teams like that, like you're not gonna have a good season.
Mm-hmm.
But the fact that when you're a fan of the Vikings, do you know the Vikings? They have the 5th highest win percentage out of all 32 NFL teams, and the 4 that are before them all won a Super Bowl.
Yeah,
that's a problem because the Vikings are constantly a good team. They just can never get over that hump, no matter what. It's like a cursed city. Same thing with the Bills. The Bills are constantly a great team. They just can't get over that hump. And again, I've said it in the last episode, but in case y'all didn't watch that episode, we have had every single quarterback under the book. We have had gunslingers, guys like Kirk Cousins, guys like Brett Favre when he was there for that one, when he was there in 2009. We've had guys like Sam Darnold. We've had athletic guys like Teddy Bridgewater, Dante Culpepper, Warren Moon, Randall Cunningham. We've had guys who can manage a field. Like we've had every single quarterback you can think of, but we never had a guy who can get you a winning drive within 2 minutes. We never had it. We never had a guy that when it comes to the biggest moment can show up and show out. And I'm just saying, J.J. McCarthy, he looks the part. The entire team says this dude's the truth. So there's not a reason for me not to believe in him. And a lot of people are going to, in training camp, I think the last time I saw his stats, they could have changed. I knew he threw maybe he probably threw an interception since then. But the last time I saw his training camp stats for this season, playing against the ones, because he's a starter now, 27 TDs, 2 picks. I'm just saying, and everybody's saying, oh, that's training camp. He had 1 good preseason game. What's he going to prove in the NFL? I'm sorry that he's a rookie and he tore his meniscus and he couldn't play a whole season. That's not his fault. Injuries happen in this game. But the problem is everybody just looks at what he did in college and goes, Blake Corum. Blake Corum was the reason why they won. But I'm just saying, do you know what happened when he wasn't the starting quarterback before he started for Michigan? They weren't beating Ohio State. Jim Harbaugh was on the verge of losing his job. He comes in, all of a sudden they start winning. They're gonna start mentioning, oh, they had spies on the other side, and there's always an excuse when it comes to JJ McCarthy because they don't want to admit that the guy's a winner. They don't want to admit it. There's always excuses. He had spies. Okay, they got busted for the first 7 games. They had to play the next 8 games. They still went undefeated. So explain that. Like it's I'm just saying, and I'm not condoning cheating or nothing like that. I thought that was wrong. But regardless, you're putting it on the quarterback, and you're saying, well, the reason why he's winning is because of all these external factors. Now he's going to have a good season in Minnesota. It's going to be because of Justin Jefferson. It's going to be because of Jordan Addison, Aaron Jones, T.J. Hawkinson. He was built for this offense. There's always going to be some type of excuse when it comes to JJ McCarthy. And I'm cool with that because you know what that means? When you constantly give excuses as to why somebody's good, it means they're becoming great. So overall, you ask me how I feel about him. He hasn't given me a reason not to have any trust in him. I don't have a reason not to trust him. I think JJ McCarthy's going to have a great season.
I'm hearing a lot of good stuff from camp, like his mental, not just his play. Talk about how his leadership. They're saying that like he's commanding the offense. His voice is being heard with the Vikings. Like he already showing that leadership in the Vikings room. So that's some good stuff right there. Now, do you have any like? Oh yeah, you said stats don't matter, but do you have any potential stats or no?
Yeah, I'm not expecting 30 touchdowns in a rookie season from him. I'm not expecting him to go 38-10 or something like that, like Darnold did. I'm not expecting that. Okay, he's a rookie, so I expect maybe like, I think if I had to give a final, I'm gonna go maybe 20. I'm gonna go 26 TDs, 10 picks. I'm gonna go 26 TDs, 10 interceptions. I think that's relatively fair. I think he's had a year to study this playbook. He was already saying he can't wait to work in this offense when he was hurt. I do think he's a smart, intelligent kid. I think he's got the athleticism. For y'all who say he can't throw, trust me, that kid can throw 70 yards down the field. Okay, so y'all will learn pretty soon that this kid has an arm. I say 26 TDs, 10 picks. I think that's a reasonable. As far as the passing TDs and the interceptions, as far as yards, I think he's going to get close to 4,000. I think he'll crack like 3,800. And I think he'll have maybe like 3 or 4 rushing touchdowns.
That's a solid season.
Yeah, I mean for a rookie, that's a solid season. I'm not expecting 30 touchdowns him to break any like rookie NFL records, but I do expect him to have a decent season with the Vikings. I do expect him to actually flourish in this defense, in this offense. And if he can't, because this is a great offense to be a part of, if he can't, then you're gonna really start raising questions about that team.
It's funny when you were like describing JJ McCarthy about how like stats don't matter. It's about getting the job done, XYZ. It sounded like you were describing Jalen Hurts. Like I look at Jalen Hurts like that. Like people find excuses why he's not good. When you know, you said something good. Like when people find excuses why you're not good, I mean you're becoming great.
Right. And I'm not gonna lie to you, like I'm not an Eagles fan, you know, and but it's because of their fans. Like I just don't like that Eagles fan base. I really don't. And there's a lot of them in that group chat and they just make it so toxic. But I'd be lying to you if I said Jalen Hurts wasn't a good quarterback. But it's the same thing that they said about Jalen Hurts, you know, and a lot of those Eagles fans, they were criticizing Jalen Hurts in the beginning.
Yes, they were.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of them. I was like, dang, he really doesn't look that great. But you know what? It's not about how you look in the regular season. You go get that job done, you go make a playoff berth. The Eagles were one of the most dangerous teams. And then when it came down to the Super Bowl, Saquon Barkley, you know, he didn't have the best game in that Super Bowl. Well, guess who did? Jalen Hurts. So I'm just, you know, another perfect quarterback who wasn't great in the regular season. When it came to the postseason, he popped off. Joe Flacco. Joe Flacco put a lot of nightmares in Pittsburgh Steelers fans. He put a lot of nightmares in a lot of teams. He had a winning record against Tom Brady. I mean, it's all about what you do in the postseason. And people don't understand that. They think because you're going to throw for 40 yards in the regular season, you're the it guy. There's guys who've thrown for 40 touchdowns in the regular season, and they can't get past the divisional round. So I don't care like what you can do in the regular. I don't care if you throw 50 touchdowns in a regular season. If you're not winning playoff games, I don't want you. Like, if you're not winning playoff games, that's when it's going to matter the most. And at the end of the day, you could throw 50 touchdowns all you like. All those quarterbacks that threw 40 touchdowns last year, I guarantee you when they lost the playoffs, they really were kicking themselves. I guarantee you they would have traded all those 40 touchdowns away just to win a Super Bowl. And that's just the way it is. I want a winner.
Yeah. It sounds like you just described Dak Prescott. Throwing 40 touchdowns, not passing the division round.
All right, and overall, it is like that. That's the name of the game. You're there to win. Like that.
Yeah.
And again, McCarthy. He said the only stat I care about is winning. He said it in the
Mhm.
draft. He said it in the combine. He's still saying it now. He said, "Y'all can look at my stats all you like. Only stat I cared about was winning." And you know what? The only stat that mattered to him was 27-1 as a starter and a 2023 national champion.
Hey man, 2071 the starter is legit. That's
It
a
is.
winner right there. Now, speaking of winning, let's get to the schedule and see how many games y'all have winning this year. I mean, y'all had a great year last year, like I said, but it's a new year, new quarterback, some new players are there, some of some of the same old ones. But let's get through it. So we're gonna go through each schedule one by one. Well, it's each game one by one, and you just let me know who's gonna win.
Yeah,
Week.
sure. So week one, we start with the Bears. And by the way, I was watching like I'm gonna make this real quick, but I was watching the
Mhm.
Rich Eisen show, and they had
Okay.
the WWE wrestler Seth Rollins on there, and they asked him about this, and he goes, "First week Vikings." He goes, "Win." Seth, shut up, okay? Because I'm telling you this right now, you're not winning the first week. So week one, we beat Chicago, and the reason why I say that is because Chicago's unproven. Again, it's the start of the
Yeah.
season. They've won one game in the last 3 years, I think it was, or something like that against us. And the one game that they did win, they kicked all field goals, and Josh Dobbs had one of the worst performances by a quarterback, and they barely beat us by 3. So I don't think they win week one. So then we go to week two. And I do think that we beat the Falcons. I like the Falcons offense. I think Michael Penix is going to be good. I think he's going to have a good season. But that defense is just questionable. I think they lost some pieces. And on top of that, unless you're going to rely on AJ Terrell, I just don't think that defense is going to do good against that offense. So, in my opinion, I think we beat the Falcons. The Bengals, I think we lose. And the reason why I say that is
Mm.
because you're going up against T. Higgins and Jamar Chase and then Joe Burrow. That automatically is a headache in itself. We never have good luck with the Bengals. And then on top of that, I think this is going to be the game where we really miss Jordan Addison because he's going to be suspended for those
Yeah.
first 3 games. So I think this is going to be the game that we miss Jordan Addison, and we're going to realize Jordan Addison is a bigger part of this team than we thought. So then you go to Pittsburgh, and I'm not going to lie to you, Jordan Addison, he comes back. I think he balls, and I think we still lose to Pittsburgh. I just think
Mm.
that I like J.J. McCarthy, but I think that defense, even though they're a bunch of veterans, I do think that that defense is going to give him a lot of troubles. And I'm not going to lie to you. The reason why I say we lose to the Steelers is because last year I thought that was going to be the last time we faced Aaron Rodgers. And when we beat him on the Jets, I talked a whole bunch of crap because I don't like Aaron. So this is going to be me trying to jinx them. So you know what? I don't think we beat Pittsburgh. I hope that blows up in my face, and I hope we do beat Aaron Rodgers again, and we send him out with another loss.
And
So,
Mike Tomlin does a great job against rookies. He's 25-6 against rookies.
oh
And I
yeah,
know
so
he's
that,
not a rookie technically, but yeah.
right. No, nah. He's, in my opinion, I still count him as a rookie. He's not going to win Rookie of
Okay.
the Year, but I still count him as that. And I do think that Mike Tomlin's going to have a game plan that's really going to start shaking him up a little bit. So you lose
Mm.
2 games in a row, you got to pick it back up. You go up against the Browns. It's a great way to pick it back up. I think they get that win against the Browns. I think the Browns, again, unless you're going to rely on Shador Sanders, Jerry Jeudy, all of them, I don't think it's going to be enough. The Browns defense, I don't think it's going to be that great. Denzel Ward, he's really good. You got some decent guys on that team, but Myles Garrett, obviously, I can't forget about Myles Garrett. I got his jersey back
Yeah.
here, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think we beat the Browns. Eagles, this is the big one. I think we beat the Eagles, and I think the reason why is because
Woo.
I think the reason why we beat the Eagles is because the Eagles lost some pieces, and they also had these rookies that are coming in and are going to be in some predicaments and some situations where they're going to have to show out. I like Quinion Mitchell. I like Quinion Mitchell. I like Cooper DeJean. But the problem is these guys are still pretty young, and in my opinion, that rookie year, I don't think. So here's the thing, Cooper DeJean, I don't think he had as good as a season as everybody thought. He had a great Super Bowl. He had some good moments in the playoffs. Quinion Mitchell, he really started showing himself later on in the season, but I don't think they had a full season of experience. And I do think that's going to play a factor if they do get in there with somebody like a Justin Jefferson. Like, because you could do that against you did really good against Terry McLaurin, but Justin Jefferson is another step. So I want to see what you do against him. And
Yeah.
so Jordan Addison will be back. If Jordan Addison's still healthy, you got those two to worry about. And then you got Hawkinson as well. I just think that the secondary is going to have some problems. And then I think that's when Isaiah Rodgers is going to come into play. And I
Mm.
think Isaiah Rodgers being on that defense for a very long time, it hasn't really changed. I think he's got some keys to beat them. So I think that we're going to go in there and we're going to beat the Eagles. It'll be a good game. It'll be rugged, but I think we go and beat them.
And here's the thing about the Eagles. Y'all usually play them every year on a Thursday night in
Yeah.
Philly.
Oh yeah.
Like on prime time. Is this the first time in a while? I think y'all about to play them at home.
Yeah,
and it's after the bye week.
Yeah, not for nothing, but we gotta beat them, and we gotta get these games back in Minnesota because I'm sick and tired of playing in like Lincoln Financial Field. It's annoying.
All right, so a W against Philly. I like that.
Yes, sir. Then next thing you know, we go up against the Chargers, and I think we beat the Chargers. I think that defense is definitely depleted. They're gonna have to really rely on Khalil Mack. And I do like their offense. Don't get me wrong. That offense is definitely going to take a big step. Lad McConkey, I mean, he's going to be a beast. So overall, I do think that in my opinion, I think that offense is going to be decent. They might have like a couple moments, but then I don't think it's going to be enough to beat the Vikings. I think that team is. I think the Vikings are a lot more established than them as of right now, and I think that defense for the Chargers, I think it's kind of. It might have some holes in it. I think Jim Harbaugh is going to have to tweak those, but I think that we go in there and we beat the Chargers.
Yes, it's not a big move, but they just recently signed Keenan Allen. Also, bring her back.
Right, and again, you got to think about what Keenan Allen you're going to get because last season he didn't really have a great season. And I mean, it all depends on what you want to put that on. If you want to put it on Caleb Williams, and that's one thing. If you want to put it on Keenan Allen getting too old, that's another. But overall, I mean, Keenan Allen, I don't think he's going to be the number one on that team. I think that spot. And I don't know if you're going to see. I don't know if Keenan Allen's going to be number 2. I believe they still got Quentin Johnson too, right?
Yes, they do.
I can't remember. Yeah, but hey, Quentin Johnson at TCU was a beast. So who knows if he goes in? Who knows if he gets into his prime a little bit? Who knows what that potential starts showing? So overall, I just think it's too much for the Chargers. I think we go and beat them.
All right.
The Lions. If we don't beat the Lions, I swear I'm gonna like blow a gasket. Like this is the same team, just with different missing pieces. They don't even have the same pieces that they had before. You lost Carlton Davis. Like it's the same team. Stop losing to them. That's all I gotta say. Just stop losing to the Lions. Go beat them one time. That's all I'm saying. If you can't beat the Lions once this year, I'm literally gonna be pissed. Like it's not gonna be a pretty sight. Like don't talk to me when we face the Lions and we lose. It's gonna be a tough game, but the Lions, their roster just looks too similar. I do believe KLC is a smart coach. If he can't figure out that team by now, there's a problem. We have different pieces, so Dan Campbell's really gonna have to go into his bag and figure that out. How to go up against some of these guys, how to attack that new offensive line, because it is a lot more improved than last year. He's not gonna be able to just fully blitz Sam Darnold. So I do believe that he's gonna have a couple things he's gonna have to actually figure out some things. I think there's gonna be some things that he's gonna leave on the Dan Campbell's gonna leave on the table. I think the Vikings come out with a win on week 8.
Okay.
Week 9, we lose to the Ravens. So we go on that nice little winning streak, and then we lose to the Ravens. And the reason why I say that is because I do believe, as much as Lamar loves those 40 touchdowns, I do believe that he is still a great player. He still is very athletic. I do think he is a hassle for a lot of defenses to go against. But the biggest thing is that secondary. I mean, that secondary is a problem, man. I mean, we can go over it, but it's going to be a tough secondary to go up against. They had Marlon Humphrey. You're talking about just Kyle Hamilton being on that team. And overall, I mean, when you're really looking at them, that's a really hard secondary to go up against. And excuse me, like I looked up the depth charts and everything, but they got a really good corner last this offseason. And it's slipping my mind, man. Like I'm actually like looking it up because it's actually slipping my mind. Jair Alexander, Mr. Everybody calls him Justin Jefferson's father. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Now, look, they better be real careful on who they put Jair against because you better keep him on Justin Jefferson. Because if the guy named Jordan Addison is still on that team, let's not forget who Jair Alexander's father is. His name's Jordan Addison. Okay, Jordan Addison got more than one child, and Jair Alexander was one of them. I'm just saying they better be real careful on who they put Jair Alexander on. You want to go up against Justin Jefferson? Feel free. And on top of that, Justin Jefferson, let's not act like Justin Jefferson still don't want to get his lick back against them.
Exactly.
So I do think it's going to be tough, but I do think that secondary, I think that it's going to be I think they're going to cause a lot of problems. I think Lamar Jackson's going to cause a lot of problems. You got Derrick Henry over there too. Overall, it's a really good team. I think that they're going to come up short against the Ravens.
Yeah, and don't forget, Jettis will get his lick back. Remember Darius Slay? he shut Jefferson down, and then he saw him again, and it was he went crazy. Y'all lost still, but it wasn't because of Jettis.
Right. And overall, I mean, I do expect Justin Jefferson to adjust if he gets put onto him again. But you could say the same thing, maybe Jair Alexander wants to get his revenge on Jordan Addison if that's who he's matched up against. Who knows? Overall, I still think we lose to the Ravens. We lose to the Bears.
What?
Yes, I think the Bears are better. I'm not going to say they're not, and I do think Caleb Williams is going to take a step. I'm not a gigantic step, but he's going to be better than what he was last year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't dislike Caleb Williams. I think he's cool. There's some things I disagree with that he does, but at the same time, Caleb Williams, I do think he will improve. I do think he will mature, and I think from week 1 to week 8, that gives you enough time to figure out what to do. And I do think that this division is probably the toughest in the NFL. So, in my opinion, I do think that they get a decent win against us week 8. I'm not saying they're going to obliterate us or anything like that. It's going to be a close game, but I think the Bears will get a win against us week 8. I'll give them that.
But this is week 11.
Week 11, excuse me. I'm sorry. I'm looking at it completely different. My bad. Week 11, they get a good win against us. The Packers. So, I think we beat the Packers. I think we beat, and the reason why is because what moves have they made?
The draft, they got that receiver. That's what everybody's talking about.
Is it Luther Burden?
Nah, it's
Luther Burden's on the Bears. They got the Golden guy, right?
Yeah, Golden. Yep.
Golden. Okay, it's not gonna be enough. It's just not. I'm sorry, that one rookie's not. If he changes everything, kudos to him. I don't think he will. I think we beat the Packers. It's too familiar of a team. I don't think they made enough moves to even adjust. Big game, Seahawks. I like Sam Darnold. I think Sam Darnold's gonna have some moments. I think we beat the Seahawks.
Okay.
I think he went up against that defense every week, but you know what? Most of that defense went up against him too. And I think Sam Darnold's gonna have a good game, but at the same time, if you know how to beat Sam Darnold, you constantly blitz him, and they're gonna have to put that offensive line on the Seahawks. They're gonna have to really test them. And if that defense can get through, again, you talk about all those guys who can establish pressure, who can get to a quarterback. The D line, I think the D line in that Super Bowl with the Eagles and the Chiefs, I think they proved that the defensive line might be one of the most important positions in football now. So I do think that that's how they're going to beat Sam Darnold. They're going to really rush him. They're going to really blitz him. And I think when he's rushed and under pressure like that, and you can constantly get to him, I think that's the best chance you have to beat Sam Darnold. And I think they're going to do a good job with that. So I think we beat the Seahawks. Week 13, the Commanders. Ain't this your team?
Yes, sir.
All right. So this one's complicated.
Okay.
And I'm going to be honest with you. I think we lose to the Commanders.
What?
I think we lose to the Commanders. I think it's going to be a really close game, a really good game. But the reason why I say we lose to the Commanders now, look, Terry McLaurin, who knows if he's going to be there or not. That's something that's up in the air right now. But it's not about Terry McLaurin. When you go and you look at that defense, you guys got a really good defense. It's a veteran defense. And then you guys just got Von Miller. I do think that when you put those veteran pieces together against a rookie quarterback, and those veteran pieces still have some prime in them, guys like Bobby Wagner, guys like Von Miller, they got the IQ to really outsmart a rookie quarterback. And I think it's going to be those types of teams, the Steelers, the Commanders, the Ravens, the teams that have veteran defenses that are going to basically cause J.J. McCarthy a lot of trouble, because he's going to have to really try to outsmart some veteran defenders who've been in there against some of the best. And I don't think he's going to have the level of intelligence to do that. He's smart, but he ain't that smart. So I don't think he's going to be that smart enough to outsmart somebody like a Bobby Wagner or a Von Miller, TJ Watt, Jair Alexander, or Marlon Humphreys, guys like those. So I do think that we take a loss to the Commanders. The Cowboys, I think we beat the Cowboys. I think everything's just up in the air with them. You know, Trayvon Diggs, he's injury prone. Again, maybe he'll be there, maybe not. Who knows? I don't expect Micah Parsons to be there.
Oh, you say you don't?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be that defense it's gonna have a lot of problems, and I do feel like that Minnesota Vikings offense is gonna piece them up if they're healthy. So I do think we get that win against the Cowboys. Giants, we get that win against the Giants. I do think that offense is a little bit too young, and I think that with a veteran defense that we got, the guys like Grenard, Van Ginkel, I think they're gonna play a big part in that win. And I think that we go in there and we beat the Giants. I think that we're going to go in there and we're going to give Scatterboo and Tracy a run for their money. I think Malik Neighbors, he's going to have maybe some moments, but I don't think it's going to be enough. I think that he's going to get he's not going to get stopped, but I think he'll have his moments, but he's not going to have a full effect on that game.
Okay.
So I do think that the offense is too young for the Giants. I think we go in there and we beat them. The Lions beat us the second time around. Again, I do think the Lions are good. I think we're going to split 2 games with them, and I think the Lions take the second game. I think that overall it's going to be a split between 1-1. And then the last game, the Packers. We go in there and we beat the Packers twice. Again, it's just too familiar of a team. I do think the Vikings got a lot of versatile pieces. I do think they're going to use those versatile pieces. I think guys like Dallas Turner are going to have a big impact. If you put guys in like Levi Drake Rodriguez, he's going to have a big impact. Guys that they don't expect, I think that they're going to really switch those pieces around. You're going to put Javon Hargraves in there a little bit. There's going to be a lot of guys who have a big impact on this game, guys that you wouldn't expect. And I think they go in there and they beat the Packers. So my overall record prediction for them, I think they're going to go 11-6. I was saying that before I even looked at the schedule. I look at the schedule, it solidifies that. To me, I like 11-6. I don't think we're going to go 14-3. I would, or 15-2, nothing like that. I would like us to do that, but it's not going to happen. 11-6, and I think we get further in the playoffs. I think JJ McCarthy gets a big playoff win, and I think maybe he goes to the divisional and he loses the divisional. I think the max and the ceiling for him for this year is going to be NFC Championship.
And y'all going 4-2 in the division.
Yeah, 4-2. Yeah, I think we lose 1 to the Bears and 1 to the Lions. And a lot of people are going to criticize me for the Bear ones, but I do think we will split 1 apiece with the Bears. I do think that the Bears, I do think that when you play in week 1, we will beat them week 1, I think. And then you have an 8-week. They have 7 to 8 weeks to prepare for that. They're going to be a different team. They're going to get the pieces clicking. So I do
they're
think
a very talented team too.
Yeah, they're very sneaky, underrated. I just think it's going to take some time for them to mesh. That's really it.
Yes. Okay. So it's looking like your biggest win streak is a 4-game win streak, and you're going to have 2-game losing streaks. All right. So 11-6. I mean, that's definitely doable, especially after what happened last year, 4-2. But the difference you're saying is instead of going 14-3 and losing in the first round, you're going to go 11-6 and win in the first round and move further in the playoffs, which is more important.
Right.
So, all right, cool. So we got that out of the way. And then lastly, bold predictions. We got to get your bold prediction. This is the fun part right here. People want to hear this part. They want to look at you and say, is he crazy? But at the end of the season, you're going to look like a genius. So let's give me some of your bold predictions.
Well, I told y'all be aware for Dwight McGlothern. I think so. Like, I kind of got 2, and I hate to give 2, but Dwight McGlothern, I think he'll be cornerback 1 for this team. And right now he's like the third. He's like literally on the third defense. I think he will be cornerback 1. But if y'all want like a real bold prediction, JJ McCarthy is going to win comeback player of the year. That's my bold prediction. JJ McCarthy will win comeback player of the year because y'all forgetting he's not a rookie, so he can't win rookie of the year. He has to win a different award. And I think that if he goes in there, he has that 26 TDs and 10 interceptions. Has a few rushing touchdowns, maybe 3 or 4 with that. So 30 TDs, 10 picks or whatever. I think that'll be enough to get him that comeback player of the year. I don't know if that's bold or not, but I do think it's bold because they usually give it to an established pro. But I do think JJ McCarthy is going to go in there. He's going to have a decent season. He's going to get the Vikings to a playoffs. He's going to get them a playoff win, at least, I think. And then he's going to win comeback player of the year.
No, that's bold. So here's some of the people who have higher odds than him in that. Because this is bold. Aiden Hutchinson, Dak Prescott, Christian McCaffrey, and Trevor Lawrence.
It's tough.
So those 4 have higher odds, but then you got like Nick Chubb, Daniel Jones, Max Crosby, Stephon Diggs, Anthony Richardson, Tua. So you got other guys there, but yeah, so that's a bold prediction.
And the key to that is going to be winning. It's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be the stats. They love Christian McCaffrey, but we know his, again, and this is not me trash on the 49ers. I hope 49er fans could realize the second a star player goes down for them, I think Kyle Shanahan's season goes up in flames. Nick Bosa, Christian McCaffrey, Debo gets hurt a little bit. And I get it. Injuries happen, but there's guys who the problem is when those guys go down, I think Shanahan, he relies too much on them. And when they go down, I think it definitely deteriorates that team. You got guys like Trevor Lawrence. Well, the Jaguars are going to have to be good. And I don't think the Jaguars are going to be good. I don't think Travis Hunter is going to be enough. And then you talk about the only guy I think that can honestly give him a run for his money is Aiden Hutchinson.
Aiden Hutchinson, yeah.
That's going to be the big one, but I do think he will go above Aiden Hutchinson. I do think he will surpass Aiden Hutchinson. Everybody remembers Aiden Hutchinson's injury, but I think Aiden Hutchinson is going to have one of those years where he's good, but he's going to get shadowed a little bit. Like, it's not going to be the old Aiden Hutchinson. He'll have a good year. He'll have over 10 sacks, but it's not going to be what you think. JJ McCarthy, I think he's going to shock a lot of people, and that's what's going to get him that comeback player of the year. But I think it's going to be all about winning, and I think that would be my bold prediction. JJ McCarthy will be a comeback player of the year.
They did say something about Aiden Hutchinson in training camp. I forgot what the rule is called, but Dan Campbell created a rule in training camp because he's dominating so much. If he ends the play, continue to play. That's their rule. So if he gets to the quarterback, just act like he never touched you. So that's how much he's dominating in camp. So
he's a fantastic talent. I'd be lying to you if I said Aiden Hutchinson wasn't great. He's definitely the future for sure. So I can't say he's not. However, I do feel like this is going to be one year where I think Aiden Hutchinson is not going to look as good. He still will be dominant. He still will be like a factor on that team, but I don't think it's going to be the same as when he was fully healthy.
Mm-hmm. All right, we're going to see, man. That's a bold prediction. It could definitely happen, like you said, that y'all got to be winning. They have to be winning. So, All right, Mario, appreciate you, man. It was a great episode. I'm pretty sure a lot of people know a lot about the Vikings right now, and we're going to hold you accountable throughout the year with everything you said. And then if anything you said comes to fruition, you will get praised for it. You will get a lot of props for it, and we will congratulate you on your prediction. All right, now, let the people know, because I know you have your own podcast. You are a boxing expert when you speak it. You came on in the Red Corner one time, did a great job on there. Shout out to them. And it's called The Punches Point. So just let the people know how they can find you and just talk about your podcast.
Yeah, so if y'all want to find The Puncher's Point, it's on YouTube, all podcast platforms. Again, we got Instagram, Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it, Threads. We got Discord. We got Reddit. And Facebook as well. So overall, we got some great social medias that y'all can tune into. And The Puncher's Point, basically, a lot of people think that the sport of boxing is dying. Boxing has been my favorite sport ever since I was a kid. I love a lot of sports, but boxing has always been my favorite. And everybody thinks the sport of boxing is dying, but it's not. And if you guys look at what's going on in boxing, you'll realize it's not dying. But the truth is, the reason why I like The Puncher's Point so much is because I'm not looking to target just the guys who watch it regularly. I'm looking to target the ones who are trying to get into it. I'm looking at the ones who have never even heard of boxing in their life. If you love any boxers, make sure y'all come to The Puncher's Point, because it is the place where if you're starting to learn about the sport, you are going to learn about the sport through The Puncher's Point. We're not going to be over complicated. I'm not going to give you too many intricate details. You're going to understand exactly what I'm saying. And I think it's going to be interesting enough to get you back into the sport. And if y'all need one more reason to get into the sport, I'm looking to do a big contest on the Discord. So for y'all listening, if y'all want to go enter a free contest and win some money, feel free to DM me on The Puncher's Point's Instagram. Feel free to let me know. It's The Puncher's Point. I'll make sure that I get y'all all hooked up with that contest information. And trust me, y'all are going to definitely want to tune into it. It's going to be a great way to get you guys into the sport of boxing. And once you get into the sport of boxing, it's hard to not be entertained by it. So definitely check out The Puncher's Point. We got some big things coming.
Let's get it. Y'all heard it here from Mario. Check out The Puncher's Point. Like I said, he is a guru when it comes to boxing. He came on the In the Red Corner show with Ty, Ricky, and Tomo, and he was spitting knowledge. So I'm pretty sure they want you back on there. And they in the Red Corner also collab with his show. So make sure y'all go check that out too. So before we go, we like to give some last words. So any last words before we check out?
Yeah, no, I just want to say appreciate you for having me on this show. Overall, I've been on Refuse to Lose, I want to say 2 times now. Might be 2 or 3, but overall, I've always had a great time there. If you talk about In the Red Corner, they're absolutely amazing as well. I be seeing the work that they be putting in. They're doing a great job. So it's always great. And it's always, an honor to be on their show as well. Overall, y'all, just make sure y'all continue to tune into The Puncher's Point. Make sure y'all definitely tune in to Refuse to Lose. They're doing some great things. Any sport you want to talk about, they're talking about it. It's not just the basic 2, NFL and basketball. They're talking about every single thing. So make sure y'all go check out Refuse to Lose. Make sure y'all check out all the content that they got on there. Make sure y'all continue to stay on point with The Puncher's Point once you get over there. And overall, I just want to say thank you for allowing me to be on the Refuse to Lose Network once again.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you for coming on. And like he said, make sure y'all send him a direct message and enter that contest and tell him to
bring me my money.
All right. So that's all we have for y'all today, and we'll see y'all at the next episode. Thank you for staying to the end. If you're watching this on YouTube, please like this video, subscribe, and also hit that notification button so you can be notified next time we put out a video. If you're listening on any podcast platform, subscribe and hit that notification button, y'all, so you can be notified we put out another podcast audio. And last but not least, hit that share button. No matter what you're listening to or watching it, hit that share button and send it to somebody that you know that would love to watch this episode you just listened to. So once again, thank you for staying to the end, and we'll see y'all at the next episode.